Hi, Dr. Elizabeth Wygant. How are you doing today?
I am doing fabulous. How are you?
Good. It's good to see you again.
You too.
So, the last time we talked, we talked a little bit about your journey
Mhm.
and the evolution of you because you started as a PharmD, right?
Yes.
That's your core.
Yes. Yeah. I started as a pharmacist and I was a pharmacy manager for 5 years, but in like the pharmaceutical space for over a decade prior to. So spent a lot of time there doing that role and just really not being aligned with the practices and what I was seeing. And I was met with like this turmoil right away when I started. And
Wow.
yeah, just felt like I was hitting a brick wall. It's very frustrating for me.
What was the turmoil, like inner turmoil that you felt? Because
Right.
obviously pharmacy school takes a long time to go through. And then
Yeah,
you got
yeah. Oh
there
my
and
goodness.
you were like, I don't like know if this is for me, or how did that happen?
Yeah. Yeah. So to be honest, when I was going through school, even I was like, I don't know if this is the right fit, but I continued along that path and like I'm already in it. Like
Yeah.
I should finish this. And I was trying to like check all those boxes of having that six-figure salary. I would be a woman recognized as a doctor in my profession. Like that is amazing. So, checking those boxes as to what we identify, many of us as success at a very young age. So when I graduated, I was 25. And then when I started my career, I just was seeing over prescribing of medications, prescription abuse by patients, and then also like this unknown suffering of people just like not realizing that they weren't truly being healed. And I had always been more interested in healthy lifestyle modifications, lifestyle choices, really connecting everything together because we are one entity, we are one unit, not compartmentalized as our Western culture tends to project in medicine
I
specifically.
agree with that. I agree with that. So you it wasn't aligned with your core values.
Right. Exactly. And it was, I didn't have the realization, like, I knew I didn't appreciate what was going on, but I tried to convince myself this is just part of the job. Like, this is what it is. And I just had a hard time with that because I was taught by my father, growing up, like you have to follow your moral compass, and I wasn't. And then I had to do a lot of self evaluation, a lot of reflecting and identifying, what is going on here? Why am I not aligned?
Wow. So quite a journey, very interesting. And so how did you go from being a pharmacist
Mm-hmm.
to now, and then tell me a little bit about what you're doing today? Because I'm so excited, and I'm sure everybody is to hear more too.
Yeah, yeah. So I actually switched gears when I became a mother. And I had, I would say, a pretty toxic work environment that I was in.
And
I
many
think,
people can relate to that, by the way.
yeah. And then especially like if there are any pharmacists listening to this, you know what I'm talking about. Um,
Sure. Yeah,
it's,
there will be.
it is rough. And so there was that. I mean, I had a great team. Like my team was amazing. The technicians that I had were phenomenal. The women who are at the counters, like helping the patients, they were phenomenal. But there's a toxicity there involved in the profession itself, and just being pulled in so many directions at one time, and um, not really given the space to reset mentally. And when I became a mother, I went through my own health issues. With my first, I had postpartum anxiety and a slight postpartum depression, which was really hard to work my way out of, but I had a support system, thank goodness, to help me be guided through that.
Yeah.
Friends and family. So that was such a blessing. And then after I had my second daughter, we went through a traumatic experience with her where she became really sick and we had to go back in the hospital, and it was just terrible. I mean, she had a fever. We didn't know what was going on. She was only 10 days old.
Oh my gosh.
It was scary. And then when I got back to work, I ended up getting mastitis and put in the hospital. And I think she was only like 10 weeks old at the time. So I was just by myself in the hospital room. It was a few days before Thanksgiving. I'm supposed to host. And then I was binge watching baking shows or whatever and trying to make it somewhat of an enjoyable experience,
Yeah.
I guess. And I'm like, what am I doing here? How did I get here?
Yeah.
And that's kind of when everything started clicking for me. I realized I was putting my career ahead of my health. I was living in the hustle culture. I had the realization that success of what we depicted as, many of us depicted as, like the American dream, is not what it's all about. And that my experiences, I know I didn't go into much detail with that, but with the toxic work environment, with becoming a mother, having mental health issues after having a baby, the traumatic birth experience, like I knew that what I went through wasn't necessarily unique to me and that other women have suffered to a lesser or greater extent. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is my purpose. This is why I am on this earth. I'm meant to empower women and be like a guiding light for them, to be a leader and a voice for those who maybe feel like they don't have one. So that's where I began to pivot, and I had to go through my own spiritual healing because I had lost that part of myself after I started my career.
Yeah.
I had to really dive into functional medicine to heal my body internally with everything. I was on a lot of antibiotics in the hospital, so I had to heal my gut. And then that's where I just like started my journey. And now I'm practicing functional nutrition. I am specifically working with women to step into their power. And I approach it from a mind, body, spirit aspect because we are one. All of those components are so important.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I work with hormones and gut health. And truly, it's about, by the end of the day, it's about owning your life, owning your power, your authenticity, and letting that light shine.
Wow.
And that's all, it's all through body literacy because we've lost that part of ourselves as women because of the hustle culture, because we are living literally in a man's world. Not that there's like, I'm not trying to diss men, like they are wonderful, like my husband's amazing, but we're living in the male hormonal cycle or the circadian rhythm, the 24-hour circadian rhythm cycle. And women are so blessed to have two biological rhythms, and we have to get back into that and tap back into that so we decrease the burnout and really just kind of balance the masculinity with that femininity that our world truly needs right now.
Absolutely. No, I love it. And I got goosebumps when you said that this is my purpose on this earth.
Yeah.
But it took it, and I'm super passionate about purpose. But
Mm-hmm.
it took traumatic experience for you
Yeah.
to wake up, right? It wasn't like you woke up one day, rolled out of bed and say, "Oh, that's my purpose. I'm on a mission." It doesn't
Yeah.
happen like that, right? I think people are like convoluted. They don't understand. But sometimes through the hardest of hardships
Mhm.
and that journey that we're all on in life, does the purpose shine through.
Yeah.
And so it was a wake up calling for you. But I mean, if that wouldn't have happened to you, do you think you would have still be in pharmacy? Or do you
You know what? Gosh, I think about that often. I'm like, would I still be doing this? And at the rate that I was going, even if I weren't a mother, because that adds a whole different layer of like
I get it.
intensity. It
Yeah.
does. So if I didn't have children, still in it, I think I would have been pretty burned out still
Yeah.
because of the workload and because of like pharmacy's hard. It is hard. You're kind of like this, you are a liaison and you're between prescriber and patient. You are the middle man or woman, and
Mhm.
that is an intense role to be in. Plus you're dealing with people's medications, and that is no joke. Like
Yeah.
it's serious business,
Yeah.
and just with every aside from like that piece of it, the other expectations that are placed on pharmacists is it really is insurmountable.
Wow.
So I would say I would say for most, and I know that there are some places that it's like such a beautiful place to be, right? Like you have support from another pharmacist and whatnot, but it's
Yeah.
hard. And then especially going through everything with COVID and trying to navigate that, it was just
Yeah.
heavy.
I'm sure. So you mentioned COVID. Is that when your transition happened where you identified your purpose?
So it was okay, it was slightly before that
Okay.
actually. And then March of 21 is when I really actually launched my business and took off with all of that. So when was that? It wasn't, well, it would have been in 2019 because my daughter was born then, but just before it happened. And then with with that shift going to 2020, there was a lot of introspection for me. And then really digging in deep and figuring out, okay, how do I make my purpose a reality? How do I take what I want to do and pivot this into a business? And that's just kind of where things started to grow.
Wow. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that a little bit because there are so many women, especially, well, anybody, but women that have these great business ideas, but they don't know or have the courage, bravery, whatever, to start
Mhm.
that business. So how did you just decide, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. How did you, because being an entrepreneur
Mhm.
is not easy. There's long working hours but I
Yeah.
mean, so how did you go from, being a pharmacist to I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
How did that transition happen?
Um, I actually ended up investing in coaching. And
Oh, awesome.
yeah, because entrepreneurship is such a big, I don't know what the right word is, but it's a big undertaking.
Yes.
Um, I decided to invest in someone to help me kind of like get an idea of how to do this because I have a virtual practice and didn't really understand like the nuances with all of that. And I decided to do that because she was in the healthcare space and I felt like I could connect with her and like I related with her a lot with what she was saying. So that's kind of, I guess, where I started with all of that. I knew I wanted to do it. I just didn't know how.
Yeah.
So if there is a woman who has this beautiful idea for a business and they have this passion and this drive, or they found their purpose, but they're not sure how, or they're trying to work up the courage to do it, having a community of support
Yes,
is a game changer.
it is really.
Mhm.
And, the best people have coaches. I have a coach and I'm a coach. Um,
Mhm.
Tiger Woods has a coach. Michael Jordan had a shooting coach. He had all sorts of different coaches, right? Because
Yeah,
when you want to level up, you can't do it by yourself. And
right.
there's so much to learn about starting a business. And so many fail, I feel like, because they try to tackle on so many things by themselves. And it's
Yeah.
a whole new area that really requires a lot of attention and upkeep in order to be successful at, right?
Hmm.
So I'm glad you said that because it is really important to find a coach,
Yeah.
somebody that's their sandbox, that's their, expertise, that's what they're good at.
Yeah.
And to help guide you through the path, give you the courage that's needed and the tools to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so
Another
important.
thing, yeah, and another thing I will highlight is like you have to have the belief in yourself too. That is part of it. Like you have to have the belief, you have to have the strategy, and you have to have the support. And once you blend all of that together, it's like magic. Not to say that it's just going to be instantaneous, but um, once you're in the flow and things start to really come together, it's this beautiful like ripple effect.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I'm a firm believer, and people may disagree with me, but I'm a firm believer that as every cell in our body has a unique purpose, right?
Mhm.
That when we find our unique purpose, just like our human body works together when every cell is working toward their purpose,
Mhm.
when you are working towards your unique purpose, you will find wealth, you will find money, you will find opportunities because the universe is really aligned with you when
Yeah.
you seek and go for something that you're passionate about, that you like, and something that is in line with your core value structure.
Mhm.
And when, we deviate from that a lot of times because of these, false expectations that we either have on ourselves, like this is, like you said, this is what I need to do to get 6 figures a year or 7 figures a
Yeah.
year. But if it's not aligned with your purpose and your core values, you're never going to have long-term success. You're going to get burnt out.
Yeah.
Look at all those like investment bankers and Wall Street folks that have, said, nope, not going to do this anymore, and have started their own charities or started whatever small business they wanted to. And it's not like they were making a lack of money, but they weren't living a life of purpose and meaning.
Right. Right. Absolutely. I would agree with you on that because when you when you think about it, like once you become aligned with who you are at your core, everything's going to fall into place. And you were mentioning like how the universe will be aligned with you. It's so true. Like it's always working in your favor. Even those moments when it's just like, oh my gosh, this is the most difficult thing I've ever been through. What is going on? You have to seek the lesson in it. That is something that I like strongly live by because there's always a reason. And just thinking about my events, like my life's events,
Yeah.
those steps, those really extreme hardships that I had, um, they all were meant to get me to where I am today. Like there's this path that I'm meant to be on. I was meant to go through those experiences because that is now what I'm leading my life by and how I'm serving others.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right. And so many people get hung up on, I'm a firm believer you're either the victim or the victor in your own story, right?
Yeah.
And it's all about a perspective. So you can either say these terrible things happen to me, I guess I'll just stay here.
Yeah.
Or these terrible things happen to me, and I'm going to utilize this moment as opportunity to glean from it and understand that those were lessons.
Hmm.
And now all of a sudden you're growing. So, it's growth mindset versus a limited mindset. And really
Right.
that has to do with the perspective and seeing the opportunity where others see obstacles too.
Right.
And that's one thing that drew me to you is I just immediately saw somebody that had a real growth mindset that was living to their purpose and with the intention of helping others, but also to, not just helping others, but helping yourself. And then collectively as a community that you're building,
Yeah.
help everybody level up a little bit because that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I guess like another thing I know that can kind of block people from wanting to generate wealth for themselves or generate a substantial income for themselves is the fact that there's like this stigma behind money. And something that you just said made me think of this. So forgive my tangent,
No,
it's
it's fine.
completely off base. But when you think about it, like when you start making an income that is, I guess, like recognized as success to you, whatever that may be, whatever that may look like,
Right.
you're able to help others in a bigger way. So like for me, I have major, major goals for myself because I want to take what I am doing with my business and be able to share it in different ways. So being able to donate, being able to set up scholarships for young women, like how amazing would that be? And just setting up scholarships even in my own programs, like those types of things, like we have to remove that
Yeah.
block from our minds because it's just not the truth. Money is not the root of all evil. It's what you do with it. Money is a tool, it is a resource to elevate others.
Yep.
And when you get money in the hands of people who are going to be doing the right things, who have a mission and they are driven to elevate others and lift each other up, there's like there's nothing more powerful than that.
That's right.
So that I guess I'm saying that because we touched on women who want to become entrepreneurs, and
Mm.
there's a lot of shame and a lot of like guilt around making money, and I know that to be true, especially for women. And it's time we let that go. It takes
Yeah.
a lot of work,
Yeah.
but it's important.
Yes. And so many folks were raised, myself included, that money is the root of evil, right? So
Mhm.
it's not easy to put those limiting beliefs about money to the side when a lot of people were raised that way, right?
Right.
When a lot of people were raised to think that, money is for some people, not all.
Yeah.
And that's another thing about, living your purpose. When you live your purpose and you live a life of meaning and intention, that money is attracted to you because
Mhm.
there is a niche audience that needs you, Dr. Elizabeth, right?
Right.
And only you and your specialties can help some certain people. And that's great. And they find that and are attracted to that. And you deserve to be paid for your services, right? And there's no shame in gaining wealth. And because, like you said, when we gain wealth, we're able to distribute it and spread it and help
Mhm.
others gain wealth as well.
Yeah.
And there is a stigma behind it, and I wish it wasn't there, and I hope to change that narrative,
Yep.
um, because you are deserving of wealth, and
Mhm.
anybody watching this video is deserving of wealth and success. And it's time to put those limiting beliefs behind us, develop a, that growth mindset that's not afraid to ask for money, that wants to be successful, and that believes that it is there for them too.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. So I'm really glad that you said that, because that's something I'm very passionate about.
Mhm.
And I think that just so many people don't understand that concept. So it's really good to hear somebody else say that too.
Yeah.
Any other words of wisdom? Do you have any, your target audience is obviously women, helping empower women.
Mhm.
Um, is there anything you want to say to the women that are listening to this video to help encourage them through their journey?
Yeah, just that, you're never alone in the game of life.
Yeah.
Ever. And
Yes.
what I have learned is that we will thrive when we come together as one. And I had mentioned this earlier, but we have to start with balancing out the masculine with the feminine. And something that I've become very interested in is the fact that feminine leadership skills are being recognized as the superpowers of the world. So those are things like empathy, compassion, treating others like a human being. And they're finally being recognized as a superpower of the world. If that doesn't tell you that we need that balance, I don't know what else does.
Yes.
So to me, like what I do is to elevate women into that space and to rise and become awakened and realize like you're so powerful. You are so deserving of like returning home to yourself. You
Wow.
really are. And
Goosebumps again.
oh, it's just I'm so passionate about it and just I want that for every woman. And then once we get that balance, we can work together as one, as man and woman. And then we can just change the world and just truly become like this unstoppable force. Because at the end of the day, what matters is the well being of our children and continuing the human race, right? Like from a primal standpoint, like that is what matters. And well, the well-being of our children, like they deserve better.
They do.
So we have to come together and not be pitted against each other
Yes.
like like we are right now.
Yes. Because if you become less successful, does that mean I become more successful? Absolutely
Mhm.
not.
Right.
It's about rising together and empowering each other, and helping each other succeed. Because
Mhm.
again, that wealth distribution, right?
Yeah.
And it's more than that too. I just dropped my notebook. It's a it's it's about coming together as one, like you said, and realizing that we're not as separate as we think we are.
Exactly. You just have to like peel back all those layers. Like, what is at the center? To me, the center is like the future. The future is our children.
Yep.
And that's where you start. And
Yep.
then you work your way out.
And like you said, coming home to yourself and then being present for your children. So
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well,
Yes.
I really enjoyed the interview today. I thought it was so awesome. I got goosebumps twice. So I think anybody watching this video, I hope that they are inspired to, one, live a purposeful, meaningful life, but
Mhm.
also to listen to their gut. If something is not serving them, it's okay to leave the table.
Yeah.
Just because you've invested years or months or whatever into something, if it's no longer serving you, that's your cue to go.
Hmm.
And then two, also just be brave and have the courage and the confidence that when you find your purpose and are aligned with it, to go for your dreams, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And believe that you will find success and wealth doing that because there is a need for it, right?
Hmm. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, it's exciting. Well, I really appreciate our time together today. Thank you so much. And I will leave your contact information in the newsletter so
Beautiful.
that everybody can reach out to you and then you can grow your business because that's what it's all about.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time with me today.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. I appreciate
Yep.
it. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.